welcome to Africa's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. As usual, remember to use the hashtag 3QP and join the conversation. I'm Tamima Duffield.
And I'm Naro Kamwe.
So we start off with a review of the Elgon Cup.
Yes.
So leg one, hosted at the Mamboleo Showgrounds in Kisumu. And so we'll start with the women's game. Women did very well.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that men's game result and I'm trying to hide it so I can be happy for a while.
Yeah.
So 44-13 to Kenya. And I mean, there were so many unanswered tries. I think Uganda scored towards the end. And I feel like, and I've been saying this for a while, the Kenya Lionesses have been working, and they've been working hard. The introduction of the Women's League in Kenya has definitely, I mean, you can see the results. That was a very young team that went out, very new, first-time call-ups. They're people who had never, I mean, they played league and that's it. But
44-13, and like you're saying, it's a good thing because of the introduction of the Women's League. So... and the revival of the Elgon Cup on the women's side hasn't been played for a minute.
Yeah.
So it's good, and it's a positive result. we saw on the day. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, women's game finished. Guys were all, Kenyans were all up and then our men's team.
Yes.
Came to play. Uganda winning that 16-13. While I feel, I mean, there's a school of, there's a group of people, let's say, who say, look, we had a young team and 13-16 is not a bad result, given that fact. I think it pains me because it's not that we couldn't have put up a better side. Well done to the boys who played on the day. I'm sure they played their hearts out. Yeah. But to be honest, I mean, and I understand that we are building towards, Rugby World Cup and all of that, but I feel like if you can win a game, win it. That honestly, that's like my takeaway from that game.
Yeah. Last week we talked about this, and we said that look, in my opinion, of course, I feel like, and no disrespect to Uganda, but I feel like we had gotten to a point where our development side should have been the one playing Uganda. They should have been the one playing the Elgon Cup. Our big boys should be attracting bigger teams. And we went on to say that, look, we've retrogressed in that point. Two, and again it's my opinion, if you're going to transition, especially in 15s, 7s, we've seen
what happened. Yeah.
In 7s.
Yeah.
And 7 is the easier one to do it. If you're going to transition in 15s, you have to phase out. It cannot just be cut and paste. And we said that also last week. It cannot be that you remove 90% of the team that has been playing in the last 4 or 5 years, and then you bring in a fresh batch of young lads. No. That one, again, I'm the school of thought that no, you don't handle it that way. You phase it out. There's some intricacies. There's some intricacies that you sit down and that can only be passed to you by somebody who's more experienced. Case in point, Dominic Colson was a flyer on the day. Didn't have a very good game. I don't use the word terrible. He didn't have a good game. Let me just leave it that way. And you could see, because he was the star, many of those guys he played with in the under 20 games, he was the star of, or he was one of the stars of the under 20 Bartes Cup. Now, when your star player, or when somebody you consider to be a star player is slouching because of his bad performance, it creeps into you because you guys are contemporaries. Now, can you imagine if he had somebody like Oliver Mangeni there, or one of the most seasoned players we've seen? If he had a Nick Baraza playing at inside center, a most seasoned player, somebody who could sit down and tell him, okay, guy, look, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Just keep your head up.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying transition is important. You have to phase out. You have to play some of these senior players. And let me tell you, the only reason we managed the 16-13 result, in my opinion, is two things. Number one, you remember in last year's Elgon Cup, Uganda actually, especially the away game, Uganda fielded the development side, for lack of a better word, with a few older guys.
Yep.
Asuman Ngero was playing, Charles Uhuru was playing, a few senior guys, Pius again at number 12 was playing, And then I remember Ivan Magoma and Philip Okorocha came off the bench in that game. Now, this was also the same team, a development team, minus, of course, the Ivan Magomas and the Philip Okorachas. So they already have some gel, for lack of a better word. So they didn't perform like the Uganda we've seen in the last few years. So that was number one. Number two was the introduction of the more seasoned players, for lack of a better word. The introduction of especially George Nyambua. Three guys for me: George Nyambua, Malcolm Onsando, and Griffiths Msela. While Griffiths, yes, was making his cup, Griffiths plays in KCB. The bulk of the national team, at least then, was KCB. So you're playing with players who are seasoned, and that will feed off. You'll feed off that. He came in, and I remember he scored a try, immediately. So that is my issue in terms of transition. I think it should be phased out as opposed to cut and paste like we saw.
I would completely agree with what you're saying, especially in the sense that the team that played, like not everyone, of course, but even from Kenya Simbas to Kenya A, I still feel this was a notch below. It wasn't even like in between. So you're skipping even your let's say second team to go for even younger and less experienced guys. And
there's the argument, of course, there's the other argument that look, many of those guys are going to play under 20. They haven't played any tune-up matches, so you're giving them a chance. But I'll start with some guys, former Kenya internationals. I won't mention their names because I don't want them to be attacked. Though I don't really think they care if they're attacked.
It's gotten to that point.
It's gotten to that point. But they were asking, when did you get to the point when you start dishing out cups? Like, they don't mean anything. We're just giving players jerseys, we're handing people jerseys. Just like they don't pay. And they were telling us, each of them told me, by the time I earned the right to play for Kenya, I had really worked hard. I'd come from under 20 clubs. I put my hand up. There are those guys who get lucky. I mean, the likes of Biko, they also playing when they're in high school, but there are guys who really work. And even Biko, he worked hard.
Definitely.
Even for him to be given that jersey, he really worked hard. And he's an exceptional talent. But then they were asking, why are we dishing out cups just like that? So, I don't. Personally, and it's because I have a preference for 15s. I think that's where the focus should be. I don't think we're handling it well. And it pains me because I was actually thinking about it, Damima, 2010 or 2011. I went to watch a Kenya versus Tunisia game. It was a Car Cup game. And it was like a Kenya Cup game, the fans, because remember that's when all the focus used to be on 7s. 15s, there was no focus on 15s, and it was terrible. But it was a 15s game, and we managed, I think we beat them 17-13 or something like that. And then to see the growth that has been in the game since then, to see Western Province coming for tests, to see the fastest match being hosted in Kenya against Spain, to see Portugal coming to Kenya, to see Hong Kong wanting to come to Kenya because of how we've been, the outfit we've turned out, to see our boys go down south to play in the Vodacom Cup. All these things have happened. Now I feel like we are going back, or we are back to that 2010.
And not even gradually, we just sort of jumped back.
We just sort of jumped back. So that's what pains me. I feel like we've gone back. Transition always happens in every team, but like I'm saying, you don't cut and paste. It's gradual. It's gradual, and there's something that I'm getting right.
I mean, for me, I guess, before we move on, it's not even that I'm questioning Paulo Derek, because I mean, I can't sit where I am and say, you don't know what you're doing. But if we can win, let's win. There's nothing wrong with putting on a sort of more senior outfit and then have your guys come off the bench. They'll still get the practice.
Yes, they will still get the practice. We've seen that. I mean, take it to 2016 when Edwin Zachara was a starting scrum half. Samson Onsomo was just getting into the system. Look at where he is right now. So look, I agree with you. You phase it out, pole. George Nyambua, even that 2016. Look at where he is right now. So,
anyway, so we had, of course, in every game you've got to have your man of the match, your most exceptional player. And for the ladies, we had Christabel Tata. That is amazing for me because not only is this her first call up, in 15, she is such a young talent. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, that was just amazing for me. When you're playing with the likes of Philadelphia Orlando, Celestine Masinde,
yeah.
and then that is just something for me.
Yeah.
And for the guys, for the men's game rather, it was Aaron Oforu.
Yes, double black.
Yes, double black.
I
So
don't agree
who was
with it,
your?
I don't agree with it. I don't feel, I've seen double black play better games. I think no, I don't agree with it.
Who was your man of the match?
My man of the match. There's a guy called Jeff Mutuku who came in at fullback, very explosive, joins the line very well, and he was. I liked how he played. George Nyambua for the aggro he brought in the second half. I also liked how he played. But if the person who impressed me the most, of course, is the person I mentioned first, Jeff Ndugu. I really liked how he joined the line at fullback. I really liked how he controlled the tempo at the back. I really like how he fielded the ball. So he's definitely somebody to watch out for.
I will note this day, just for future reference. You picked a man of the match from the team that did not win. I love it.
That did not win. The Uganda team, no one really impressed me, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh well. Well, moving on to the fact that the game was not televised.
Yes.
So Bamba, just wrote a little message.
Yes.
Like, hi guys.
Yeah.
How you doing? Missed rugby for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Well, you're gonna miss some more.
Yeah.
I honestly I didn't even know how to react to that because in as much as we want people to go down and watch the games, not everybody can.
Yeah.
Not everyone is available to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a big game. I mean, out of all the Kenya Cup games where you could have made money, this is the one. I mean, but what's your opinion?
It was a business decision by Bamba, if you ask me. Because there were some guys who were making arguments, or they were unable to film in Kakamega. You remember it was a live link. They were able. Guys who had set up boxes. Were able to watch the game.
Yeah, it was a live. Yeah,
but they were unable to set up, and they were saying that they can't handle, out of town, out of Nairobi games. And I told whoever I was talking to, that's BS. I mean, as we speak, that time, Bamba Sport were actually in Meru. They were recording a Chapadimba football tournament. It was a business decision by Bamba. What I know from within Bamba is that they're not happy with the deal they signed with the Kenya Rugby Union because they were hoping to get adverts. That's what you do.
That's how you make your money.
You buy rights to televise the game. You have been told the game has numbers. Clearly not. No sponsors want to come and advertise on your platform, and that's a big issue. So Bamba, it didn't make business sense for them. On the flip side, Safaricom were telling them, "Yo, come do this Chapadimba thing. We are giving you top dollar." Come on. It's a no-brainer. So when guys are sitting down making noise about Bamba,
very true.
It's a no-brainer. I mean,
however, it was disappointing.
It was disappointing, but look, we. Again, it will be swept under the rug.
And we'll move on.
And we'll move on, but we just need to be honest about it. It doesn't make sense. And even if I'm a broadcaster, it doesn't make sense. You
wouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it,
Oh well. So, moving on to one of our seasoned players.
Yes.
Celebrated at some point, decorated rather. He's played at a few clubs. He's been at Nundies, he's been at Homeboys. He is currently at KCB. I don't know where else he's played. Those are the three I know. So Ken Mosetti, alifungua roho. He expressed himself. And I actually think this was not only his view, but the view of very many people, players, coaches and fans alike, or rather just rugby enthusiasts. And he's like, guys, how can we play our whole season of Kenya Cup? And then you give, call-ups to the Kenya team based on age and not merit. Like, when did it get to that? And he's, clearly very unhappy about that. He says his coach, Curtis Aloch, so Curtis Alago, has won 3 Kenya Cup trophies back to back, adding onto the 7 trophies that KCB have won. And he's not even, assistant coach. Like, he's just somewhere sitting. And he's like, to have a winning mentality, you need a coach with a winning mentality. You need players who will inspire others to play. What do you think of his rant?
It's genuine.
Very. It's come from very deep down.
It's come from very deep down. And I'm not saying, by the way, Ken Mosetti putting that up, I don't think even Ken Mosetti is talking about himself.
No.
I think, look, Mosetti is a very smart person. He knows. I don't think if he's even putting his hand up to be called into the Kenya team. He's already done his time. Him is done.
Yep.
What he can do now is passing. He's doing some coaching now.
Yep.
What he can do is pass over the knowledge he's gained over the years, because he's playing on both the 7th team, the 15th team. So all he can do is just pass over the knowledge that he's gotten to these guys. But he's getting pissed at the fact that, again, what we said earlier on, dishing out of cups.
Yep.
And that's the feeling of very many people. Again, it's an issue of Curtis Olago. Very many guys have asked. This guy has won the Kenya Cup 4 times now. 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019. He's won Kenya Cup 4 times. It's the 7th titles he's won. And I remember this was an issue also when he was when they were looking for a 7th coach, and he had won the 7th circuit. If you ask me, I think somebody doesn't like Curtis on the board.
I strongly feel you are right.
Yes. If you ask me, somebody doesn't like Curtis on the board, and that's why he's not getting the nod. But look, Ken Museti, very many people are feeling that way. Very many people are feeling that way, and it's unfortunate. Look, Paul Odera is a servant. And we see he's been called, and he's going to go do his work or his contribution to World Rugby. We've seen what he's been doing over the years, and he was never going to turn that down. I mean, he was called to do a service, and he's going to do that service. We can't afford foreign coaches right now. But there's a growing feeling in life, if you ask me, in life.
All philosophical.
Everything, there's a time, a person's time.
Yes.
For Kina Paul Odera to check in, the likes of Kina Hamon Sando had to leave as coaches. Now there's a new bunch of young guys who are really open to learning the game, Curtis Olago included. And the links, like I bumped into him during that game, and he's telling me some of the plans he has and the relationships with South Africa, and he's looking to see if maybe he can go back down to Cape Town and he can learn more rugby. Guys who are just open to that learning, and guys who are open, they've realized that, look, this game is not ours, and there are guys who know it better than we do, and therefore we need to learn from those guys to be able to implement it back here. If you ask me, by the way, comfortably, I feel that if KCB played Kenya, KCB would win. I feel. So Ken Museti's rant is valid, and he makes a valid point. And it's a valid point.
I'm imagining the frustration when I'm sitting there and I'm watching my fellow players who I feel have played exceptionally well, not being called up to the Kenya team. And if I am a coach like Museti, and I've got a young group of boys who I'm trying to mentor, I don't want them to get to to come of age and maturity and then not get a call up because they're not 23 or below, or like it's something that comes from like really deep down, and you look and you're like, wait, hang on, why is this person not playing? Why is this, and of course there'll always be questions, but when it's a whole team that's not playing, then so I completely understand where he's coming from. Anyway, guys, let us know what you guys think. I really want to know what guys think about this rant. Of course, there are people who have commented on his post. You can go to his page on Facebook. It's a very, very public page. So you can go and check it out. But we will move on to international rugby. So Super Rugby, we were in the quarterfinals. We had the Crusaders beat the Highlanders 34-14. Jaguares beat the Chiefs 21-16. Hurricanes beat the Bulls 35-28. And Brumbies beat Sharks 38-13. Are those what you expected?
Yeah, that's what I expected. Jaguares, I expected that. Canes, I expected that. Brumbies versus Sharks, I expected that. And of course, Crusaders versus Highlanders, I expected. Just good to note what the Jaguares are doing. We talked about it last week. Now they're in the semi-finals. Jaguares will be taking on the Brumbies, if I'm not wrong, and then the Crusaders will be taking on the Canes and Hurricanes. It's very good to see what the Jaguares are doing. 6-7 years after joining the league, and it's that patience and them knowing. By the way, not too many people know when Jaguares was formed. It was about the time when Sanza is South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, the one that runs the tournaments down south. Sanza had just decided to bring in Argentina into previously it used to be the Tri-Nations tournament. So they just decided to bring Argentina into the rugby, Southern Hemisphere rugby. And it was renamed the Rugby Championship. So at that time, of course, now because of that expansion, then Super Rugby also decided that there's need for a franchise in Argentina. many of the Argentina players were playing in the northern hemisphere. So the Jaguares were the whooping boys. Then these guys saw, hey, look, there's a franchise, Southern Rugby, meaning now, and it's home. So if I'm getting the same chances to play at home, why am I playing in the north?
Yep.
So many of those guys moved back, and they started turning out for the Jaguares. So it's like the Argentina team. Now, when they're playing repeatedly against the top guys, we see what happens.
Yep.
And now they've gotten to a point where they're in the semi-finals. And this can only be good for Argentina.
Yeah.
Because the next thing, Argentina has been to the semi-finals of the Rugby World Cup twice, 2007 and 2015. These are, with this going on, and of course with their former captain, Agustin Pichot at vice president level, it's only good for Argentina rugby.
Yeah. So we move on to football. We're talking about the Africa Cup of Nations, the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. So match day 1 of 3, and we will highlight 4 games. Democratic Republic of Congo played against Uganda. Uganda winning that 2-0. I must say, of course, I'm happy because they're our neighbors.
Yes.
And then we had Nigeria play against Burundi, 1-0 to Nigeria. I won't lie, again, happy.
Yes.
Not because they are neighbors, just for personal reasons. And then we had Senegal play against Tanzania. Senegal winning 2-0. I don't think there's a shocker there. No. And then, of course, Harambee Stars playing against Algeria. We said that was going to be a tough one. The memes that are doing rounds. So Algeria winning that 2-0. What do you think of those games?
Uganda versus DRC, of course, is a shocking one.
Yes.
DRC have the reigning top scorer from the last African Cup of Nations, Junior Kabatananga. Very many people were tipping DRC to go the whole way, to lose to Uganda.
Sorry for all of those people who lost bets on that game.
Yes, to lose to Uganda. By then, I must add, I was impressed with the number of Ugandans who traveled to Egypt, just to support the Ugandan boys. But Uganda have always been a superior, at least in comparison to Kenya, they've always been a superior talent when it comes to football.
Yes.
And it was a shocking result because very many people are tipping DRC to go the whole 9 years. So kudos to Uganda. Nigeria versus Burundi, I expected a more convincing win from Nigeria. I mean, they're playing Burundi, and no offense to Burundi, but Nigeria, Super Eagles, African powerhouses, very good players on their team. We expected a bit much more from Nigeria. But look, a win is a win. They get 3 points. Senegal versus Tanzania, we expected that. I think Senegal are just playing it cautious. We also have to come to terms with the fact that this is their first game. So, it's going to take some time.
Oiling your engine, getting into it.
Algeria versus Harambee Stars. We were being optimistic.
Very. Quite. Let me say quite.
I was talking to somebody last week on Thursday, and he was saying he's making his call 2-way, patriotic and pragmatic. So as being patriotic is like, look, we would like to see some things happen. We'd like to see Kenya get some results, but let's be pragmatic. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're coming up against some seasoned boys. I don't see. And Algeria was our game to win. But look,
we have one.
Algeria was our game to win.
Yes.
But look, it's football, and football. You don't know what's going to happen on the day. It's going to be a tall order against Senegal, who I am tipping, by the way, to win the tournament. But hey, we have to support the Harambee Stars.
So match day 2, we will focus on the Uganda versus Zimbabwe game, Senegal versus Algeria, and Kenya versus Tanzania.
Zim going down to Egypt.
To Uganda.
To Egypt in the first game.
Yes.
1-0. So they play Uganda now. Of course, if Uganda can win this game, then they're in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they're in the quarters.
And then quarterfinals. So I'm sure they'll be going for the win. Senegal versus Algeria. That's the top decider. That's the number 1 decider for that pool, for the pool C, I think.
Who comes out top?
Then Kenya versus Tanzania, I think Harambee Stars will register their first win in 15 years.
I hope so.
I
hope so.
We all hope so.
I really hope so. So that's more or less it for now for AFCON. We move on to Formula 1 for the French Grand Prix. No surprises really. Same people shifting. Okay, apart from Hamilton, who decided, this is my position. Not budging, no room for two.
Nope.
So we've got Hamilton, followed by Bottas, and then Leclerc, Verstappen, and Vettel.
This race didn't have too much incident. I mean, it was the same way. I think guys had qualified. And you know, in F1, if you don't have incidents just at the beginning of the race, or if you don't have a big incident, somebody's tire blows out or a crash, or then the race is really uneventful and you expect it to end it the same way. Or somebody has car problems, you know, you expect it to end the way it started, and that's exactly what happened with the day. Hamilton and Bottas dominating the number 1, number 2 position. Yeah. And Mercedes just showing how much of a dominant force they are on the F1 scene. It's sad for Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel, but it's good that now they have, you know, Charles Leclerc is there. So there's some competition, but really, no.
It's like, but no.
Yeah.
So we move on to basketball. So NBA news and trade news. And I think the one that stood out for me was the Pelicans agreed to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
Yes, we had actually discussed it. That one has been done, but of course nothing is in paper until June 30th at 6 p.m. So they agreed to trade the Lakers. Of course, the reason for that was they knew they were going to get the number 1 draft pick. And they picked Zion Williams, who everyone had taunted to go number 1. So I'm guessing the Pelicans want to build a team around Zion Williams. And with a couple of the guys they got from Los Angeles, you know, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and Alonzo Ball, you feel that if they get the right coach, they can be able to build a very good team there. You have talks about Jimmy Butler resigning with the Philadelphia 76ers. You have talks about Kemba Walker, who's also a free agent, leaving Charlotte Hornets and going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, the 2 big ones that people are still talking about is Kevin Durant, or the 3 big ones. Kevin Durant, does he still resign with the Golden State Warriors, or he goes to his own team? Klay Thompson, are they going to offer him a max deal? I feel Klay Thompson is going to stay. Or I forgot to mention the other one, Kyrie Irving, who's I think in everyone's predictions is definitely leaving Boston after 2 seasons there. And then you have Kawhi Leonard.
That's the one. If you left that one out, I was going to be like, and there's Kawhi Leonard.
There's Kawhi Leonard, and there are people who are. You see, when Kawhi went to Toronto, the deal was for 1 year because everyone knew he wanted to go back to LA. There is still very many people still believe that he's going to LA after he's not committed to anything, but very many people believe that he's going to LA, the LA Clippers, I might add. But there's also now a group of guys who are saying, look, he's done. It's inference, it's circumstantial evidence, it's not anything categorical. You know, a few things are happening in Toronto. Apparently he's bought a house, apparently he's made some investments. You can't be doing this if you intend to leave. So there's that group of guys who are saying that he might resign the Toronto Raptors. So those are the talks, those are the trade talks going on right now, but nothing becomes formal, of course, until June 30th at 6 p.m.
And because this is, of course, an ongoing tournament at the moment, we go back to AFCON 2019, and we're talking about the tournament as a whole, basically pluses, minuses, and, you know, what next after the tournament. So a few things came to mind for me. One thing is the fact that, and this is a positive, obviously, so tournament is hosted in 3 cities. That's Cairo, Alexandria, and Ismailia. Which, of course, for the economy there, I mean, you know, just that speaks for itself. You don't even really need to explain that. There's also the fact that there's 24 teams given a chance, you know, to play, which gives chances to people like Kenya, So that's a big plus, of course. Player exposure, obviously. I mean, the guys will go, and depending on your performance, I mean, the guys are free agents, and might get signed up to another team.
That's true.
Make some money. That would be really good. The only minus I know for me is the fact that it's summer. So it's really hot. Players have been complaining left, right, and center. They've got 2 water breaks between games, and that's just, I mean, I can imagine playing in that heat.
The CAF Executive Committee, CAF being, of course, the governing body and the body that sanctions this tournament. In a meeting in 2017, they passed 2 decisions. Decision number 1, increase the teams from 16 to 24, which, like you say, is a brilliant thing. And for me, what I like about it is that it shows first that the game has grown in Africa, Though, if you ask me, this should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the game has always been big in Africa. So, increasing it to 24 teams, like you said, gives people like Kenya a chance to participate. So, that was a good move. Number two, the other decision they made was moving into the summer. For those of you who follow the African Cup of Nations for a very long time, it used to be in January, towards the end of January and February. And the reason for this, to take it back, it also used to be in a World Cup year. So then since 2013, they decided to move it now into the odd years just to avoid clashing with the World Cup. Then they decided to move it to summer. If you ask me, I think the number one decision for this is AFCON. Come maybe about 2010, it lost its buzz. And you had the senior or the star African players refusing to turn up for their national teams because they're smack in the middle of their seasons in Europe. So it had lost its appeal. And they had to move it to summer so that guys cannot give excuses, say, look, I'm not leaving. Because there's always that big role, club versus country, club versus country. And there are rumors, I don't want to call them true, but there are rumors that Sir Alex Ferguson, former Manchester United coach, that's a big reason why he never used to sign African players. Is because he hated when the season is heating up in January. That's when you have to release them for African.
Which I guess would make sense.
It would make sense. So it was a brilliant move, and also from a commercial perspective, it makes sense moving into summer because we don't have anything happening. I mean, in January, hey, Premier League AFCON, unless we get into the finals, I'm going to focus on the Premier League until then. So even in terms of TV ratings, it makes sense for them. They landed a big sponsor in Total a few years ago. So that also shows the appeal the tournament is having. Personally, I'll be honest with you, Damima, I've not been this hyped to watch an African Cup of Nations since the 2012 African Cup of Nations, in which Zambia beat Ivory Coast in the finals. And the reason for me is it had lost its appeal. But you can see it's coming back. Definitely. With an increased number of teams. There's a lot of buzz around the African Cup of Nations. I'm sure many of the teams have sent their guys to Egypt. Pick out who are these African guys who are coming up. Let's see if we can be able to sign 1, 2, 3 guys. And it's good for the African player because the leagues are big in Europe and in the West. So it's good for African players. Guys can earn a living. I think about guys like George Weah, who's the current president of Liberia. This guy would not have had an opportunity to be president of Liberia had he not played football. You think about pro football. You think about the guys like Victor Wanyama. Had Wanyama not gone to play in England and Scotland, then what would have his life?
Who would have found him?
Who would have found him?
Rather, it would have been
what would have been of his life? It's opened him up. So it's good for it to be summer, and there are not too many things happening in the footballing world. So many guys will be focusing on Africa because Africa is a hotbed of talent in any sport. So they'll be focusing on that and just see our players. So it should be a good tournament. It definitely should be a good tournament, and it's something I'm really looking forward to watching. It's good. Just as we wrap up, I can see the buzz because this weekend, even during the Kenya game, I was somewhere and I could see the buzz that it generates. It just reminds me of during the 2010 tournament that was in Angola. The team that was hot at that time was Ghana, and I happened to be in Accra around the same time when that African Cup of Nations is happening, and you just feel the buzz in Accra. Everyone is like, "Hey, these guys are participating." So it's good to see that from a Kenyan perspective. It's good. It's good for us.
Before we wrap up, someone offered to buy me a jersey. That's how this buzz is. I would not mind. Anyway, guys, what do you think of AFCON? Who do you think is going to win? What do you think of our national team? Just tell us. Hashtag is FreeQP. Remember, you can find us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Jimmy Duffield.
And I'm Ngaro Kamuya.
Let's show the mosquitoes, man.
Short dresses.